Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm so happy to have you. So my Patreon subscribers, welcome back to the channel. So for today's video, we are going to be talking about and discussing the protest, the hands-off protest that occurred on April 5th, 2025. As of when I am recording this though, it is a Monday, April 7th at 11:19 a.m. Eastern Standard Time as of when I am recording this. So this is 2 days, 48 hours after the event has taken place. It has happened, all the protests, the hands-off protests happened in all 50 states, and also other countries and other people from around the globe have also participated in the hands-off protest against 45 and Elon Musk, especially in our own government. So we're going to take a deep dive in today and kind of find out what happened and will it have any sort of effect on our lives? Will it have any effect on the government? Right? We talked about this many times on the channel that the protests and anything that happens like that, anything on such a grandeur scale, the more protest that happens, the more it pushes the likelihood of politicians doing the right thing, regardless if they want to do now. When they start to see that there are people protesting for the things that they want, they feel more emboldened, they feel more engaged, they feel more active. We talked about this as if like the most change and the ending of 45 will not come in the midst of those who protest directly. It comes from within. The inside is what pushes him out. But in order for the inside to be emboldened to push him out, the people must protest in support of those to feel emboldened to do so. So I hope that makes a little bit more sense of why it's so important and to really find out and really delve into the idea and the understanding does this have an effect where this is the beginning of where they push him out. We did many videos on the title of the beginning of the end, the timeline shift, the last chapter of 45, the last president, the great shaking and collapse. We talk about all these things, and this is stuff that is going to start to really speed up in this election. Right now, I am looking for this specific reading or a tarot card thing where I talked about how it's very important for people to push him out, and in order to do so, people must be actively engaged in such type of behavior in order to begin that. And so I feel like I think it's this one. I feel like it's the fracture begin. I feel like this is the reading. I don't know exactly 100%, but if you guys know what one it is, please let me know in the comment section below. But it's the fracture begin, that one. And then we also have Liberty is about to strike. She's nearby. So you see her nearby the Capitol, and then you see that coming. So I feel like that, if anything of those two videos in particular, that really hone in on the messages that we talked about in today's video, we're about to talk about in today's video. So let's go ahead, let's take a deep dive in, let's find out what is going on in today. And let me actually see if I mentioned any of it in the overall astrology chart that I sent out to you guys in my community page. I feel like some of you guys have may have forgotten it, or even I have forgotten it. I do know there were some key things there that I said that did indeed happen. Like, again, I don't gloat about anything that, whether I was right or wrong. That doesn't matter to me. I don't really quite care. I care about making sure that I provide accuracy is really all that I care about. So it says here, 3 weeks ago on March 9th, 2025 at 9:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I took the astrology dates and then I internally channeled psychic messages and I added them in. So you can find this into my community page. This is the title, so in case you want to know, and go check it out. We said here around March 1st to April 12th, 2025, will mark when Venus enters retrograde and goes from being in Aries back into Pisces. This time period under Venus retrograde is where you can see the toxic outcome, the people fighting, then making up. We're starting to see this behavior happen between 45 and Elon. We saw this with 45 and Zelensky out of the interview taking place when Venus went into retrograde, so that was the start of it. And then a reemergence of an exile topic or person coming back from the past. And this could relate to issues one talks about from the past. I'm seeing people like Putin and Mueller report. Any sort of connections will be temporary, of course, so any sort of connection, should I say, like 45 make a connection with like China, and they make a good deal. It doesn't stay stable because it happened during this time period. So if anything that happened in this time period, the connections are dispersed. Does not work, right? It says here, spending can be massive this month. We talked about now that they're in the news right now. They're saying that they're doing the taxes, they're doing the tax cuts right now, and it's going to be massive. And it's going to be massive tax cuts for the billionaires and millionaires. It's going to be massive. So we're waiting to see if that comes to fruition. It looks like it is, or that's where the energy is heading. We have here, this can mean that the congressional funding bill may be larger than ever or larger than normal. This is normally not a good idea financially long term. This period could provide a clear glimpse on how weak the economy truly is. It may even crash, which we indeed had a crash. And this is why I marked it from March 1st to April 12th of 2025. It indeed crashed twice during this time period. Lastly, old insecurities may rise during this time. Expect problems to America's past to reemerge and cause new issues. For example, 45 has initiated segregation in the United States, an issue that has been long dormant since the Civil Rights Movement and has now come front and center back in the United States politics. March 14 to April 16, 2025 will mark when Mercury enters retrograde and goes back from being Aries back into Pisces. We have here, when we enter, misinformation will be rampant during this time. AI may be a contributing factor to this. This also includes any possibility of an election taking place around this time. Slowness and a lack of communication around health and diseases to be expected. We have measles outbreaks, all these different things. I'm getting hints about animal health related to foodborne illnesses. That is yet to be determined if that is something that is ongoing. I haven't done any research into this, so I don't know if that is something that's actually going on. If you want to correct me, go ahead in the comment section. We have here technology may go down in some parts of the country due to accidents occurring. We have not yet had that happen, so let's keep that noted at. Expect more crashes to occur during this time. This could be metaphorical or physical. We have here traveling during this time period is not advised. And we have here the White House may seek 45 give his first press address to the nation regarding an accident, but may receive false information regarding them because the people who are around him are afraid to be honest and upfront with him. Elon may be centered here in some way. If any scientific travel takes place, expect something horrific to go wrong. We have yet to see if any of that comes to fruition. I don't know if a lot of it did, but that was just the energy that I got. There's a lot more things to come out over the next couple of days. There's a lot more, and we do also have here as well, March 30th, when the first time Neptune entered Aries, which is the last time it happened, was April 11th, 1861, one day before the American Civil War began. When Neptune entered Aries, is said to signal a time of action and purpose, which is a star with the protests. Historically, Neptune and Aries have been linked to revolutionary causes and religious wars. Without certainty, Neptune in Aries in 2025 will lead to a new cultural landscape and call to action, which we have a lot of people being felt called to action, massive wide protests among all 50 states and globally. So this is definitely a big one. We have to expect big action coming from the Vatican and the White House around this time. Democrats and or Republicans may feel compelled to take a specific action. I don't know what that action is. I don't know if they took anything where they felt compelled to take an action that's a little bit out of the ordinary. We have here countries that are neutral will be no more. Each will be forced to take a side. I'm starting to feel like that has to do with tariffs. It's what it feels like. The Pope may die around this time, or a new vote for a Pope may begin or start around this time period. A new agenda will be laid out for the world by a world leader. The Pope has not died, and the vote for a new Pope has not begun. So just make sure you keep note of that as well. These are just things that I got the energy that if they were to hold, they will all happen. Very unlikely anything would happen 100%. So to keep that in mind, I want to be openly honest with you guys. Not everything here all happened. Some of it did, because the energy changes all the time. So don't expect anything that like anybody posted to be 100% true and accurate. Things can change, and in that aspect, it has changed. So to keep note of that as well. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's take a look. Let's find out what's going on in terms of the protest. Let's go from there. All right, so if you want to help out the channel grow, you can do so by liking, commenting, and subscribing, hitting the bell icon, and engaging with the content. It really helps me and helps you and helps everybody. And this video, again, is just for entertainment purposes only. Alright, I feel like you guys are like kind of blurry, so I'm going to move this back. Alright, perfect. So Spirit Angels, tell me about the protest that happened on Saturday, April 5th. The hands-off protest in the United States, all 50 states, where a huge amount of Americans protested against the 45 regime and Elon Musk. What are we expecting long term from this? What is going to happen long term because of this protest? Thank you. I'm hearing there's a transfer or something. There's a transfer. A decision already been made. We have the Seven of Cups. Now, I just want to make sure I put that disclaimer here. This is just for entertainment purposes only. Anything I do or say is just for entertainment. I'm not legally liable for anything I do or say. Now, with that being said here, the energy that I'm getting, the aura, if you will, right? Why is it important? Well, it's important because what I'm getting here is that the information is telling me that this could be the emotional aspect of the majority of people who went out and protested. It doesn't mean that it's what's going to happen, but it's how the general populace of those who went out and protested felt when they did. Now let's ask. We asked the question, what's the long-term effect? Well, we have the Page of Swords. Expect a lot of call to action. Expect a lot of bravery from a lot of Americans standing up to the country, standing up to the government. So what is going to be long-term? What's the long-term effect it is? Bravery, call to action, massive white protest. If 45 is in office, he will have protests nonstop. There will be a lot of protests throughout his term, so this is not something that's ending. This is the beginning of the start of it. Now we have the Ace of Pentacles. The Ace of Pentacles is telling me here that there's a transfer or something. This is the Ace of Pentacles. Now this is normally my transfer for like a peaceful transition of power or to hand it over or something. Well, in this aspect, it means something is being handed over. The handed over of the Three of Pentacles, which is telling us empty results, empty-handed. Now this is my ballot card normally. This is my voting machine. Right, but something gets handed over to the voting machine. So the bravery, the call to action, gets transferred over to the voting ballot. The voting ballot. And because of those voting ballots, we have the King of Swords. The King of Swords is reversed. The incumbent is defeated. Now, you guys all know, if you've been with me for quite some time, I have spoken how whoever is on the throne, whether it's a male or female, when this card comes up, it means that it's upright, which means that they're in control, they're in power, they're winning, they're victorious, whatever this means. But it's reversed. It tells me that the incumbent party is going to fall. They are going to fall, and they're going to fall hard. Because you see here, the Page of Swords means bravery, call to action, taking up stances, right? And it gets translated, and it gets transferred to the voting booth. So what does this mean? What does this mean long term? I expect changes in the behavior of the average day American voter to start bringing their action to the voting ballot. That they are going to actually and be engaged in politics to remove the incumbent party in some capacity. So there is going to be a reckoning coming for the Republican Party, specifically for 45. Now we do have here, after, the King of Swords is reversed, the defeat, we have the Queen of Wands. And the Queen of Wands is a very interesting card because it's indicating 2028, but it also starts the beginning of something a little bit more different. It also feels like whoever runs in 2028, if it's a female or if it's one of a feminine energy, they are likely to win the next general election. It's going to be one of femininity, right? We are fully gone into the feminine energy now. Back in the 2024 election, even though we were entering into the year of feminine energy, Capricorn retrograde back, right? The planet retrograded back into Capricorn right on the cusp of the November election, causing 45 to win the election as a male. However, going forward, we the people take our power back. That's the age of Aquarius right here. You see the age of Aquarius, we the people take our power back. So again, this is the story of how the people take their story back, take their power back. They cannot take their power back in 2024 because it just didn't make any sense. There was no incentive to it because people had this idea that 45 wasn't that so bad because we had him before. But they didn't understand that his presidency in 2017 all the way to 2021 was drastically different than this presidential election because this one is a plan by multiple people wishing to pursue their agenda. So that is why it's a little bit different of a dynamic here, that we the people take our power back, which is further represented by the Queen of Wands here, the woman, the feminine. It's looking towards the future, which means there's this open space here, which means that this is something to expect sometime down the line. Now we do have here that the decision has been made. The people have made a decision. Now, it's going to be pretty interesting to see because if 45 decides to run in 2028 and he goes up a female against, just say Harris, Harris is likely to win that election because it will be a repudiation of 45. It'll be like, oh, we already experienced 45. We know how bad it was. We're going to go pick the Democrat, right? That's kind of the energy here. Now, underneath the challenge to the election and people going out to vote and take their action to the ballot box, right? Take their bravery to the ballot box, right? To defeat the incumbent. What is challenging this? We have here the moon, the voting booth, the voting tally, the machines, right? The coding mechanism. This is the moon. The question is that can we overcome the manipulation? Can we overcome that? This is something that is hidden, but something that's hidden in the past will reemerge in the future. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean? Well, let's take a look. Let's find out what does it mean that when something is hidden in the past, reemerges back into the future. Because for us to really understand how people can really rise up and to be able to create the change that they themselves seek with the forces against them, how can you expect them to make the change if something is so dead against making sure that they don't make change? So spirits and angels tell me, you're saying here with the moon card reversed but heading towards the past, you said something from the past is going to reemerge. And it has to do with something with people feeling brave to vote in the voting booth again. What does that mean? What does it mean? I'm hearing in my head, my third eye, I mean not my third eye, my ear. I'm hearing because the people feel like they can finally vote for who they want, not vote for who they've been told to vote for. Like there's almost like that break and spell. Like people just vote for what they want, truly want, not for what people tell them to vote for. Okay, so this is about talking about the past, right? Something from the past is re-emerging. Well, let's take a look and find out. We have here, the first card that comes up is we have the Knight of Swords reversed. The Knight of Swords reversed is a very interesting card. That means this is a very slow process. Whatever this is that's occurring that's from the past is going to emerge back into the future. It's something of of a slow movement that's going to be emerged slowly. Right, and this has to do with the coding system. I talked about this prior many times on the channel, that the way that 45 and Elon were able to do this, but they were able to just say for example, they have Canada 1. The Canada 1 gets entered in the coding system as a Democrat, right? And they put Canada 1 have a limit on the popular vote, right? Just say 2 million votes, right? That's the amount they can get and get counted. Anything higher than that, it just disappears the ballot. But to say the Republicans are Canada B, and they don't have a maximum ceiling of votes that they can get, well then they can just keep going higher and their votes will be counted. So what happened? How did this work? Well, essentially, we have the Democrat here who only able to get 2 million votes. We have the Republicans who can get 2.1 million votes. And because of that, the Republicans will win almost every single time as long as they have the same amount of turnout. But the Democrats, however, their votes get non-deleted. Now the difference is that for those of you guys who don't know about coding or how the coding machines work, it's a very intricate system. So just take for example, you have candidate B or candidate A, and candidate A is just a coding system. Just say for example, during the 2024 election, Democrats were entered in first. But what if during the 2026 midterms, we have the Republicans entered in first, and the Democrats entered in as candidate B, making it so that essentially, accidentally, the Republicans that encoded the system to rig the election will essentially be brought out of their winning strategy, further leading Democrats to win across the board. So the question is that, okay, are the Republicans going to be entered in again as candidate B, or are the Democrats going to be entered in as candidate A? That's the question that we're going to ask is, well, is that what's going to be going on? Because there's something going to be reemerged and it's coming from the past and has to do with the election. Because the thing that I heard in my ear was that people are going to vote how they always voted in the past, but they're going to vote the way that they want and not how people tell them to vote. That's a very interesting question and also a very interesting claim because it really highlights how the Republicans were able to manipulate the mechanism and the coding system within the the software program, ensuring that they themselves can win without needing to win the majority of support, even if they lose the election. It so goes to the Republicans because all those ballots after the Democrats hit this certain ceiling disappears. But what if the same could be said for the Republican? What if the Republican could be candidate A and the Democrat could be candidate B? Because remember, the voting system is not discriminative of what political party gets that type of ceiling put on them. But what if just who was entered in first? Take that for food for thought. Now, let's go back to the reason why this is important. Well, it's important because it talks about something re-emerging from the past. It's something to do with how the people voted in the past. And how the people voted in the past is a very important thing to really highlight. But the next card that comes in after the Knight of Swords reversed is we have here holding on to power. The Republicans holding on to every sector of government, whether this is the White House, this is the Supreme Court, this is the House, and this is the Senate. Right? And here you have the slowness of the Knight of Swords re-emerging to take down the Four of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles is the Republican dominance in all four sectors of the U.S. government, from the Supreme Court to the White House to the House of Representatives and to the Senate, right? And here you have the Sun card. Not all is going to be revealed in this section. It's going to take some time for the Republicans to realize that their coding system is what prevented them from winning all four of government. Doesn't mean that they'll lose all four, but essentially it costs them many seats to the point where it's not beneficial anymore to rig an election in your favor. That's the energy here. We also have here as well, we have the Chariot. The Chariot comes in as reversed. There is not fairness that's happening within the way the democratic process in terms of the electoral process is working. Right? Again, everything in this video is just for life purposes only and for entertainment purposes only, but essentially it's saying that there is not fairness in that. And because of that, it has to do with the coding system and how we're propped up to do a certain thing that we wanted to do in order to orchestrate a certain agenda. Now, we also have here in the ending period card, we have here the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords will asking, well, what is re-emerging from the past? It's the coding system that has been further embedded, has been forgotten about for quite some time, that's going to make its way front and center again in the 2026 midterm. This is going to be very interesting dynamic because it's going to really highlight, well, are the Democrats going to be able to win control of some form of government, whether that may be of the House, the governorship, or even the U.S. Senate is yet to be determined. But like I said, it's determined on based on who was entered in at first. Candidate A, is it the Democrats or is it the Republicans? That is yet to be determined. And once we know that on election night, we're going to know the outcome of the entire race of the election. That is something that's going to be really interesting to see. And it feels like very much so that because it affects every part of government, I'm assuming based on that knowledge, that it's also going to be affecting the 2020 midterms. I mean, 2028 presidential election. This is something that's yet to be determined because it feels very much like in 2028, we're going to have this rigging scheme come right back up front and center, but this time it's going to be the opposite, the complete reversal of what happened in 2024. So it's going to be very interesting dynamic to really see how it plays out and how it works, and whether or not the Republicans come to their senses to realize that just rigging the election just doesn't work. Whether it wins you a temporary election, it's just slap on a band-aid on something that doesn't really matter. You know, it's really interesting to see, but we have the Three of Cups. This is not something to celebrate. Just because you won the first time with it doesn't mean you win the next time, right? At the top of the card here, you have the Knight of Wands. And the Knight of Wands is trying to win and head to a victory, but you end up getting stopped. And by getting stopped, you end up having a fight, which is the Seven of Wands here. And it's going to be quite competitive, so 2028 is not going to be a blowout. But here's the election results. And who is the winner? We have here, it's not by a short amount. It feels like a lot of swing states again go towards the other party, which would be the Democrats in this aspect. And here you have the people hand over the power to the other party. And here you have the Tower moment that's coming. So again, yes, it does feel like the people will hand over the power of the U.S. presidency to a new leader, but it's going to be really interesting to see how that dynamic plays out because remember, 45 won every single swing state in 2024. But the rarity of something like that occurring is 0.1000%. Very unlikely of that occurring, but yet it occurred. so, if that's the case, it's going to happen for the Democrats as well. If they assume they are the one that's victorious, that's if the Democratic Party is the party that is still there in 2028, which I assume it will be. But remember, we are very close to our first independent president. We are not far away. Alright, so that feels like very much like about what we're getting here in terms of what's being emerging back from the past and the energy of the protest. Now let's take a look and see, will it initiate something from within the White House? Is it going to force 45 out and we're ending the reading? So spirits and angels tell me, will the protest, or has the protest that has occurred on April 5th, the hands-off protest, or in all 50 states plus globally, has it emboldened anyone within inside the White House or Congress to embark on a journey to oust 45 from the presidency, including J.D. Vance and Elon Musk? I'm hearing not yet. Nope, not yet. Nope, did not. So here you have the King of Pentacles. You have here 45 and his regime. On the bottom, the top of the card here is the 8 of Cups here. It's a no. Yeah, I said I didn't see it yet. I think it's, like I said, it's the start of it. It's the start of emboldening those people in position of power to do something. Right now, it's way too early for them to be able to do anything. I don't see anything occurring immediately. We do have the 3 of Swords here. The 3 of Swords means a lack of betrayal coming from within the form of government, all 4 branches of government. So as of right now, this protest does not do anything in terms of immediate effect of removal. But it does initiate something a little bit more drastic. It tells you more about the call, the action, and the bravery of the people. And I said many times before that this is going to be a continuing process, that people will go out and protest continuously. So at some point, with this continuous protest and continuous support of it, people will feel more emboldened within the form of government to actually do something. But as of right now, it's too early in his presidency to really oust him. We do have the Hierophant. And the Hierophant is the government. He has the control. He has the power right now. I don't see it. We have the 3 of Pentacles. The people right now do not have the power, which is represented here at the 3 of Pentacles. Right? We have the people coming in with the protest, and here's the government handing out nothing or pouring that support out the window. So as of right now, no, I don't see anything coming from the government in terms of action or big actions against 45 and Elon. We do have here, though, the Hanged Man. There will be a major event that will come because of the lack of an engagement within the government to do something. There will be something that will be a major event that will be occurring. And here you have is the King of Cups, and the King of Cups is with the chaotic leader. So there's just somebody with a leader who would cause the chaos, whether it's Musk or 45 is yet to be determined. However, this will be something of an attempt or an attack of some sort, but there will be something as a ramification of the inability for government to do something. But there will be something that will be done. And here you have the King of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles, and we have here something has been decided, and it's divine timing. So divine timing is going to play out as it should, and that will determine the ending of 45 and Elon. So we're very much too early into his presidency to really know exactly when he is going to be disappearing. But it's for certain that the more you protest, the more you get out and vote and support and whatnot, the people within the White House and in form of government, they will feel more emboldened to do something because they themselves are like, oh, well, you know, we can actually do something because people support it, and so there's not going to be as much retaliation. That's what they're feeling. But as of right now, I also feel like as well, I'm also getting, just my opinion, not what I'm getting intuitively, but I feel like some of them are actually just waiting for when the Republicans, particularly MAGA, starts to lose a little bit of faith in 45, and when that crack starts to show and the fractures start to begin, that is when they'll start to strike because more people will be less likely to resist that type of force of change. Right now, it's too very early. A lot of people are like, oh, well, we have to crash the economy because that's the way to fix things. You want to talk about stupidity? Well, that's another question for another time. Anyway, guys, I love you. Have a great night, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'll see you all tomorrow. Until then, peace out. I love you, and I'll see you soon. And yes, I will be getting back to your emails. I have a lot of you guys who have emailed me, and I have not been able to get to you, unfortunately, because I've been quite busy. But expect an email soon. I did respond to some of you guys, and I would like for some of you guys who are still here, if you guys can send Doris some love and light. Unfortunately, she has lost her husband, and so just try to send her some healing light if you can. I really do appreciate that. I do have some messages and emails from you guys. I have one from Tammy, from Spiritual T, Stephanie Pata, Melissa, Desmond, what's it called? What else? Julie, Daniel, yeah, and yeah, that's it. We have everybody else, so I have answered you all. For those of you guys who have commented, I have responded to some of your comments. I will be responding to some more after I get home from work. But anyway, guys, I love you. Have a great night, and I'll see you all soon. Peace out.